in the country now will say that really every American would benefit from taking some sort of supplement. In terms of calcium and vitamin K2, your research, Andrew, is pretty profound because you really do spend a lot of time gaining and gathering this information that a lot of us have never even heard of or known about.
Well, it's a perfect example of that is I've been providing extra vitamin D in my products for 37 years.
Wow.
Vitamin D is something that's gotten a lot of press in the last 5 years. But because I've been reading the research for 37 years, that's why we've always provided extra vitamin D. Vitamin K2, MK7 is something that the research really started expanding about 5 or 6 years ago. And it's a product that we've had available for basically about 4 years. And it's something that, again, just as I emphasize the importance of vitamin D, the same goes for vitamin K2, MK7. In terms of heart health, in terms of skeletal health, there's no nutrient that exceeds it in importance. If you're taking vitamin D or you're taking calcium, which we should, then you absolutely positively should be taking vitamin K2.
Wow.
And the MK7 form is the best form. You don't have to get mine. There are other companies that make vitamin K2, MK7. Of course, I could talk about why ours is unique or special, but the important takeaway from this is that vitamin K2, MK7 is a critical part of any heart health or any skeletal health regime, an absolutely critical central part.
And this is really what we started to discuss last week, and this is so vital that we get this message across. So to Andrew's point, right now, we have the two options, obviously the calcium, magnesium, but specifically tonight, we do want to really showcase this vitamin K2, because as Andrew is saying, if you are currently taking one of those other supplements, maybe it's calcium, maybe it's vitamin D, you really should be supplementing it with this. Now, a lot of people are not. This is your chance to take advantage. And Andrew, you just talked about the other sources where we receive the vitamin K2. You talked about the green leafy vegetables and everything else.
Actually, green leafy vegetables don't contain vitamin K2. Green leafy vegetables contain vitamin K1.
Oh.
Vitamin K1 is all about clotting, blood clotting. That's why people who are taking anti-clotting medications like warfarin or coumarin, things like that, they need to be conscious of their vitamin K intake. And vitamin K1 is a vitamin that is focused on its role in terms of blood clotting.
Okay.
But vitamin K2 has this unique role in terms of the mobilization and the proper utilization of calcium. So vitamin D certainly is critical to absorb calcium, but once absorbed, calcium isn't just in our bones and teeth. Calcium could also have the calcification of soft tissues in our body, such as arteries and things like that. And that's what much of the research focused on. When it's not research that's terribly clear, but I'm someone who believes that just taking in high levels of calcium with vitamin D and not balancing them with vitamin K2 is a mistake. And even if you're just taking vitamin D and not supplementing calcium, just having your dietary intake of calcium, there still is a necessity to balance the role of vitamin D with vitamin K2. And unfortunately, just as vitamin D has been shown to be incredibly deficient in the American diet, vitamin K2 is incredibly deficient in the American diet. It is abundant in the Asian diet. It's actually abundant in the Mediterranean diet because of all of the different cheeses they have, because of the bacterial synthesis of K2 from those cheeses. So it's fascinating that these are just two deficiencies that are unique to the American diet, and they come with consequences.
And that's something that, you know, I think a lot of us are very concerned about. And I think there's more knowledge out there now than ever. And there's hopefully a greater understanding that, you know, the diet, our diet, the way it is today is not necessarily the way it should be. And it's certainly not the way the diet was many, many, many years ago. So now more than ever, it's important to gain an understanding and the different supplements that Andrew has available in his line. But specifically today, when we look at this, I think the case is very solid. And I hope hopefully many folks watching have learned something, that this is a crucial and critical addition. Andrew, that's, I know, a big deal for you though, because part and parcel of this is kind of, you know, imparting this information, whereas a lot of us, we hear many, many different things, and quite often we don't know which way to turn.
Well, in terms of vitamin K2, vitamin K2 MK7 is the only choice for supplementing vitamin K in my mind.
Right.
In fact, we don't even put vitamin K in our multivitamins because many people have issues with clotting, so that's why it shouldn't be part of a multivitamin that everyone's going to be taking.
Right.
But in terms of how we're going to use calcium in our body, and also, you know, if you're taking medications like statin drugs, if you're taking medications like the anti-clotting drugs, it's something to, the anticoagulants, it's something to talk to your doctor about balancing your levels of vitamin K2, MK7, because those drugs interfere with the absorption of what little vitamin K2 we get in our diet.
Right.
And estimates I've heard are that only about 5% of us get adequate K2 in the American diet. But of course, in Japan, where they're eating tofu and natto, and in parts of Europe, in the Mediterranean, where they're having certain fermented cheeses, they get their vitamin K2, MK7.
Right.
And of course, we look at those populations, and they're significantly reduced risk of many of the health issues we have.
Yes.
So again, it's all about our diet, and if we look at our diet, it gives us insight into what we need to do in terms of either changing our diet or supplementing our diet.
If you look at the offer tonight, we are still maintaining the amazing anniversary pricing. You know, it was Andrew's 20th anniversary. So when you order this tonight, you can choose between the 60, the 180, or the 360. The biggest savings, as you can see, $30 on the 360 caps. If you just want to try it, we encourage you to do it with a 60. And as Andrew will always tell you, read the reviews. The reviews tell really the full tale. They tell the full story as to the impact and the difference this is making on people's lives. Andrew, in the final 2 or 3 moments, can we just reverse back to the calcium magnesium as an opportunity for anybody